My name is Donna, and I am the Survivor Forum Manager for the U-Trust, Paragon Domestic Abuse, Sexual Violence and Stalking Team. We are commissioned to deliver advice and support on behalf of Somerset Council. Listening to the voice of the survivor was an integral part of the Domestic Abuse Act 2021. And with these recommendations in mind, Somerset recently produced their Authentic Voice Strategy. Whilst it's early days for Somerset, our Survivor Forum is starting to take shape. The United Nations Unite campaign offers us an important platform for our survivors to communicate with members of the public who may be experiencing domestic abuse but may not yet have reached out to services. It is my privilege to represent the voice of the survivors today, each of whom share unique insight and understanding from their journey to recovery. In this story, our survivor talks about how she was abused by someone who used their mental ill health as an excuse. There's no excuse for abuse. Please note that this is a real story and that some may find it triggering.
I didn't seek help from support services because my husband's behaviour was a direct result of his mental health breakdown, so I excused his behaviour. I didn't think it was domestic abuse, it was because he was ill, and it was my responsibility to help him. I had to change my environment before I could begin to recover from the abuse, to remove myself and the children from the cause of our distress. After that, it took time, patience, and surrounding myself with positive, kind people to heal from all the damaging thoughts and feelings I had about myself and others. It has taken 7 years for me to feel completely recovered, to a point where I am able to recognise my experience as domestic abuse, and now I want to help others find a route out of that dark place towards their best life. I would like people to know that a partner's psychological injury or distress can lead to domestic abuse, which should not be excused or tolerated because of illness. The potential impact of mental health on domestic abuse needs to be recognised and families given greater support.
In this story, our survivor talks about how she managed to break her silence about the domestic abuse that she had endured. Please note that this is a real story and that some may find it triggering.
Hi, I am domestic abuse survivor. I broke my silence just 2 years ago in this country because in my country from I am, we don't talk about problems in marriage lives, or just we keep quiet all in. And I will say I scared to talk. I scared to be shamed. But I'm happy now. I'm happy now. I'm out from my marriage life where I've been. And I am in this country now where I feel happy, more supportive. And then I just broke my silence. I start to talk about my past. And it's all right. And more I talk, more I got support. Then I think, now is my time. I am strong. Now is my time to help other people. Because live with violent person, it's not best option in life.
In this story, our survivor talks about what it takes to move from being a victim to a survivor of domestic abuse. It can take support from surprising sources to seek the help that we need. Please note that this is a real story and that some may find it triggering.
The success of my change from victim to survivor was reliant on many factors. I was unsuccessful more times than I care to recall before I eventually achieved freedom. Resilience in myself and the right support at the right time were the most important factors. I was finally determined to escape domestic hell when the physical and emotional damage was affecting the more vulnerable ones I care for. I will never escape the shame and the guilt I feel at exposing them to the trauma I allowed to occur. But I made it stop, and I walk away with my head held high. I've received enormous support from numerous and sometimes surprising sources, neighbours, friends and colleagues, as well as official services. Their importance is so great that I now endeavour to become one of those people in any capacity I can. I will use my experience to help any of you experiencing this hell, past or present, we call domestic and sexual violence, in any way I can to ease your path to freedom, to the place of safety we, as survivors, deserve.
Acknowledging that you are a victim of domestic abuse can lead you to access the necessary support to put you onto a healing path. Please note that this is a real story and that some may find it triggering.
Initially, I didn't reach out for support. Whilst I was aware that my relationship and its demise were incredibly toxic, I didn't actually acknowledge myself as a victim of domestic abuse. It took others, including the NHS, to identify the abuse that I was experiencing. But once that had happened, my eyes were forever opened and I soaked up all the support that was on offer. Journaling, time, friends and their strength when I felt like I had none at all, and the support from SIDAS all aided my recovery, but I am still very much on my healing path. Volunteering with domestic abuse support services felt really important to me, as I had benefited so much from it. I remember how dark some days felt, so adding even the tiniest speck of light to someone's life feels like such a privilege. When you are in the eye of a storm, you cannot imagine that there is any calm sanctuary, but there is, and you can seek and enjoy peace again. And you do have a future.